So welcome, welcome, welcome. This is going to be a fun time. Peggy Beauregard here, the Nest Egg Builder, hosting, and we are going to learn something, hopefully today. I have a question for each and every one of you, and that is, I'm sure you have a challenge or something you are working to attain during the year, and I wanted to know what that thing might be. And what are the plans? What are the steps or the process you're going to take to get there, if that makes sense to you? For instance, you might want to bring in more customers, for instance. You might want to become a speaker and get on stage. You might want to bring in more money. You might want to go out on a date. It's your subject. You get to pick it. And I'd love to hear from some of you, letting me know, because I am always looking for different ways to do things, because how I think can be very different from how you think. How you approach something might not be how I approach something. And I think that the more that we learn about how other people do things, the more we can learn to take some of those ideas in and put them to use. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's have fun. Gloria, you have a great smile on your face. What's something you'd like to attain this year? Oh, you need to unmute.
Sorry, I have a mini Australian Shepherd, and he gets a little loud at times.
Oh, good. Give him a pet.
I was hoping to buy a property last year and it fell through. And so I'm hoping to buy and add to my portfolio this year as well.
Okay. Do you have some steps in place?
Well, I have, I'm kind of, no, not at the moment. Well, I do have contacts, but I don't have concrete steps at the moment.
Do you have a place where you want to buy something?
Yes.
So you have a geographical place.
Yes.
Is it close to home?
No, it's out of state.
It's out of state. And do you have boots on the ground out of state where you're looking?
Yes.
And what are they doing to find something for you?
Well, I haven't told them that I'm looking in that area yet, because I wanted to look on my own to kind of get an unbiased view, I guess. And so, yeah, I haven't mentioned that to them yet.
Okay, so do you know what you're looking for?
Yes. Yeah, single family house or small multi.
Okay, in that particular area, is it a particular neighborhood in a particular town?
I would like it where I have another property.
Okay,
So yes.
so that makes sense. So you want something similar to that one.
Yes.
And you haven't told anyone yet. So now you're telling everybody, so the world now send you well, I just believe that if you send something to the universe answers. You might not like the answer, but you probably get an answer. And and you already know the areas, and this is the beginning of the year, and most people don't really do anything at the beginning of the year, which makes it a really good time to go out and knock on doors, for instance.
Yeah.
Are you also working with a real estate person?
I haven't yet. I have a person who manages one of my property that I have there, but as far as enlisting them to buy, no.
To look. So the property manager manages for more than just you, right?
Yes.
So do they have a contract where if you wanted to sell what you had to work through them?
I don't know. I should read my contract.
Yes, you should.
I hadn't
But-
thought about selling though.
Right. No, well, I'm asking the question because if people sign that agreement, then your property manager would be a really good person to talk to because they have to come back to that property manager to sell, and you might be able to buy something that way.
Yeah.
They also are going to know people that are looking for a property manager, or they're done with the property, even if they don't have that contract, which
Oh, I
frankly,
see. Mhm.
personally, I would never sign that, because what if that person's not a good person, or,
Mhm.
don't do what they need to do to get something sold, and they don't give you the fiduciary duty they ought. But that's
Yes.
still a really good person, and you might call
Mhm.
other property managers also to see if they've got anything. So
That's a
thank
good
you,
idea.
Gloria.
Thank you.
Just a few thoughts. Does anybody have
Thank
any
you.
thoughts they could also share with Gloria?
Yeah, what would the ideal opportunity look like? I mean, what would you want to see in a good deal?
Good cash, or significant cash flow. Like at
Like
least
how much cash flow?
$300 to $400 a month.
Okay,
Okay, Arthur
is
has
that
a
the only
question.
thing?
No, I have other criteria for the property itself. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, and the reason I'm asking is, maybe if you can visualize exactly what you're looking for in the property, it'll make it easier for you to identify it when it presents itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have criteria, like I would prefer a fireplace, something with a garage, because garages are at a premium down there. I prefer corner lots. I want something that's got that, even if it's older, has original characteristics.
Excuse me, do you have all that written down on a piece of paper?
Yes. Mhm,
Okay,
I
good.
do. Yeah.
All right.
Mhm.
Arthur, you have a question, Mr. Rufus?
Not so much a question. I just, whenever you got to the next person who was sharing their goals and things they were trying
Oh,
to do.
okay. Well, we'll call on you then. Anything else for Gloria? Cliff, you have anything else? Does anyone have anything else for Gloria? Okay, well, that should be in your lap by the end of the week.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So for all of those who just came on, we're having fun. We're learning what some people are doing this, have a project that they want sometime to happen this year, and learning what the process that they are going through to reach that goal, or whatever the finished thing is that they want. And then we're also getting feedback on some things we would suggest they do, because everybody has a different way of thinking. And it's always good to hear what other people are doing, because you might get some new ideas. So Arthur, you're up. Thank you for raising your hand.
Thank you. I have a laundry list of goals for the year. I apologize in advance. This is New York City and I'm outside and lots of noise happening all around me. Similar goal. I have mine too. I'd like to get a property under contract this year. My issues aren't so much identifying, it's more of not allowing other things to, obstacles to kind of get in my way. I had some personal things with my career and others this past year that I was surprised I thought wouldn't stop me, but ended up being an obstacle for me. So this year, there's that I want to overcome, as well as mentoring opportunities. I recognize that somehow I always end up with leads or with connections that people want to have that I myself don't readily take advantage of, and they need education. So this year I have a plan to perhaps educate some of these connections that I've made a little bit more on real estate, investment, infinite banking, or tax sales, if I can. And that's in a large, I guess, overview of my goals for this year.
Okay, well, our show has those kind of people come on to talk. I don't know if that's helpful. So you don't have to go find them. Well, we could always use them. You could always invite them to come on our show and we'll talk about them presenting, if that's at all helpful. Plus, we are on many other shows, like Angel is here. She has a show. Douglas is usually here. He has a show. There's umpteen thousand shows a week. Well, you do not have to create that yourself, but you could participate with other people. And
Mhm.
and all those people come from, I mean, I'm on meetings where people are all from, some of them are from other countries, and we always learn from what they do and how they do it because they have different cultures. So that's always fun also. Angel's got a really good show. She has a weekly show. Douglas has a weekly show. Who else is, come on, what was
For
the
me,
show?
I think I'm always in referral mode. I'm always meeting people who I have a good connection that will be able to help them, but I wish I could take advantage of it. So for example, that I actually host a meetup for another real estate investor on Meetup. I don't do very much with it. It's just sort of free, well, I wouldn't say free marketing, but very little cost marketing. There's hundreds of people who have already signed up, and usually whenever we're doing something, it's well attended. But for me, it's just, I happen to be the person who pays for it. I just received out of the blue a call from a nice accredited investor right after Christmas. She's looking to learn more about not so much real estate, but note buying, which I happen to know people who are involved with that, and obviously some of you on this call as well. But rather than refer her out this time around, I'm going to see about maybe there's a way we can partner something, because she likes to learn, but she also is not quick to jump in. So long story short, just finding more ways to use all of the opportunities that seem to flow through my hands and maybe catch some of them from myself.
Well, if you don't mind, you're not focused on what you want. You're focused on letting yourself be distracted. And distraction is the number one reason people are not successful, because they let too many things get in their way. And I'm not in a disagreement of having more than one thing on your plate, but I think what would be helpful to you is to prioritize each and every day. Like you are going to spend an hour from 9 to 10 or whatever it's your schedule, that you are going to do whatever it takes to find that piece of property. That's it. You're not going to be distracted by anything else. You're not going to pick up the phone and answer the phone. You might be picking up the phone to make calls, but you don't take anything in. You don't do any referrals. You just focus on that one thing and handle your day like that until you actually start making a habit of moving yourself forward.
So along those lines, I guess, how many, sort of plates in the air do most people handle? And just to give you guys an idea, I probably have 10 different businesses that I have in varying degrees of process. As they become more profitable and more set, I'll move them into quote unquote an actual business to work from, an investment or whatever it is. At the same time, I'm looking for speaking engagements, at the same time mentoring, at the same time looking at notes, at the same time trying to educate people on infinite banking, at the same time. So as you can imagine, a lot of different things happening at the same time. All of them I feel passionate about, but I don't really know how to, because the opportunities come when they come. So if something geared towards real estate is in front of me, I work on it. But I don't really have a way to kind of narrow it down. I just work on everything, a little bit here, a little bit there. Day trade from 10 to 11 in the morning, and then work on something else, all kinds of things.
Yeah, well, I'd say if you don't cut back, it's how you do your schedule. You've got it in your calendar, and that way you keep on. Cliff, you have a comment on this? You who've got about 50 things going at a time?
So I have 5 different businesses, Rufus. So, you know, one of the things that I think when you're talking about having multiple streams of revenue is to do one or two things. Either have a common theme that you can tie everything into, where everything relates, so you have the same audience that you're marketing to. If you don't have the ability to do that, then build a business, create your systems, automate it before you move on and build a second business or a third business or a 5th business or 15th business. It's not uncommon for millionaires to have 7 different streams of revenue, but they've automated what they've done. They've created systems and automated what they're doing, so it's not all consuming. They also utilize a lot of time blocking. So those are some strategies to think about.
Oh, thank you for resending the.
That's good. Oh, Mark. Okay. Lisa, did you have a comment to make to Arthur?
No.
Okay. Well, then we'll call on you next. Let's finish with Arthur. Fidel, did you have a comment? I saw you.
That's fine. I'm just. Oh yes, sorry, still at work. So no, I guess what Cliff said, that just summarized everything. No, I mean, if your mind is all over the place, it's gonna be little focus, and where focus goes, energy flows, right? So
Yeah,
automation. But I guess
Automation.
to that point.
Yeah, and using your calendar, it's really important to schedule that in. And then you can schedule distractions in. You can just call it distractions. And connect people. You could have something called connections where you actually do connect. But you're talking, I think that, well, I don't know. I'm not a good one to talk to about that.
If your schedule is really full, schedule time for boredom. Because you need to have time where your mind's not really focused on anything. And the reason why that's so important is because your subconscious works to solve problems that the conscious mind is not able to conceive or solve. So if you schedule time for boredom where you just have a distraction, you're able to connect with nature, go hiking, whatever it is, just so you're not having to focus on anything. It allows the subconscious to work and create solutions for you.
Thank you.
In the
One thing
scheduling
that
business, that's called Slack. And
Yep.
it needs to be scheduled in because life is what it is, and too many things happen that we just cannot predict, but we need, well, it's when they were launching rockets, they used to call them planned holds for, for an hour or two at various times in the launch process. Not because they were going to do anything. It was to compensate for the things that were going to show up or were going to happen that nobody could really predict, except the fact that they always, the unforeseen always happens. Murphy is looking for the unwary.
Thank you, Ted. Fidel, you had another comment?
Yes, I was going to say that what has happened to me in the past, and it recurs sometimes. So I try to, now I have a trigger, is that when I have so many things to do, I end up doing maybe 1 or 2, and then I get more frustrated. I start getting frustrated, and at the end of the day, it feels like, okay, the whole day and didn't achieve anything. So that's what happens to me. Well, that's how I felt in the past, mostly.
Good. Thank you very much. Lisa, did you want to share? Ms. Prince?
Yes. Hello.
Okay, thanks.
One of the things I think for this new year, I am going to be more zealous on is being focused on one thing. because sometimes I'm so focused on so many things that it end up not doing anything.
Mm,
Everything become like you just finish half of it or 3/4 of it. So this year, two things. I'm going to be focusing on my health, making sure that my health is okay. And then also just at least have one project with close to being completed before I start something new. Because I realize that I get frustrated and just give up. So that's one of my intentions for this new year.
may I ask you a couple questions?
Sure.
Okay, so how are you going to make sure that your health is intact? What are you doing for that?
Walking more and also eating. One of the things is that eating, meditating, and just having, like someone says, a time where I'm not really thinking about anything, but just having distraction time.
I didn't hear having a physical.
Oh, well, that I already did that at the end of the year because my birthday is in September. So I already in September I do all my rituals and stuff like that. So that is done already. So
Okay. And then your focus, your project. So you have a project. So what do you put in place what's the process for completing a project?
okay, so I am giving myself different every month what part of that project should be done. And each project, I would like to at least accomplish 4 projects this year. So I'm giving each project 3 months. My first project is the first 3 months. And once that is over, once everything is set in place, then I move on to my second project.
So what has to be set in place?
Like the goals, the implementation of the goals, and so the seeing that these goals are attainable.
The what are attainable?
The goals that I have, the goals for say, for instance, my project that I do missions. So my missionary project, that has to be part of it is getting the paperwork done, getting the supply done, getting the supply in place. So once that is done, I can move on to a second project. And for instance, my rental, making sure that I'm looking at the rental and making sure that those whose rent have to be increased, that I'm giving them enough time, that I'm not shortchanging myself. I'm really looking at that.
Okay, so what you actually were saying is you have a process in place. Do you have a checklist for that process?
In my head, but I didn't write it down.
But you do the same process for each project.
Yeah.
Much.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be easier to have a spreadsheet where you just check it off that it's done? Wouldn't that keep you a little more focused? Just
Well,
out of curiosity.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I can do that. You're hearing thunder and lightning. We're having a thunderstorm right now.
Oh, good for you.
So yeah, so that is something that I can implement a spreadsheet, because right now I don't. I have a book that I keep everything. I have my goals written out and stuff like that, but I don't have a spreadsheet.
Yeah, a check sheet would be really helpful. Then you won't miss a step
Okay.
and have to go back, and every project might have a different step in it, but it'll still be the same steps.
You're right.
Whatever they are. And then if your projects are so different, you could just move 90% of it to a new project.
Mhm.
Right? Then you'll have it set up for that kind of a project.
Okay.
Anybody have, yes, David, do you have some feedback to give to Lisa?
I do. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay,
Welcome.
great. Welcome. Good to see you. Good to see everybody. Happy New Year. I was going to say, if you find somebody who's like-minded, you go through some of the RIAs, you find an accountability partner. Maybe they have the same mindset, different mindset, but at least you can contact each other once, twice a week to make sure you're on your goals. And I know Cliff had a good statement as well, as far as finding people to help you as well, get everything on track for automation. That's something I think we all need to look into as well to help us in our business. So I'm looking for that as well. So thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, David. Anyone else have some feedback for Lisa? No, I'm sure every one of you has some sort of project or other that you work on. Harita, might you have a suggestion? You go in a lot of directions. Angel goes in a lot of directions.
No, Peggy, I don't have any suggestions.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Lisa. So David,
VA.
hire a VA. That's what, now I go along with that 100%. I have 3 right now. Thank goodness for them. Okay.
Angel suggested methods for finding a good quality VA, so you're not cycling them like a revolving door.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So currently my full-time VA is training her replacement. She's moving to the US to work as an au pair, and her last day with me is like the 13th of January, I think. But I use my friend's company. It's called Real Agent Helper. Beardy Brandon from Bigger Pockets, he has like 16 of his VAs come from the same company I use.
Okay.
So, and I've got a 50% off coupon. Like if you use my code, I can get you 50% off your first month.
Could you put that in the chat for us, please, Angel?
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for asking, Sheldon. Okay. So David, project for the year or goal or?
Yeah, so I'm looking to transition from my portfolio of income properties to another asset class, just part of it. So my goals is to do that, to sell off and then get into the other category I'm looking into. And I'm also in the note space as well with a partner of mine. So I'm looking for deals. I think this time of the year, we're going into the lull time of what's going on with interest rates and so forth. So I always try to look at properties and deals where people are off on the sidelines. So this is the best time to find those deals. So I'm focusing on more of that to try to find different types of opportunities in real estate.
So what are the sidelines? Just out of curiosity, what do you consider a sideline?
A lot of the buyers are on the sidelines.
Okay.
A good percentage of them right now are based on the rates and what they're hearing from everybody else. So through the history of what I've done, I've always been investing in those times. Those are the best times to create opportunities and wealth. So
The beginning of the year, the end of the year?
No, just the timing right now. Not necessarily.
Oh, the economy?
Just the economy, right? We're in an area where we're going to see higher interest rates. People are going to be getting in trouble. So you're just there to help them in their situation and finding those opportunities.
Oh, yeah, that'll be going on probably for the next few years.
Correct.
When people
Right.
wake up actually about this time next year. We'll be
Right.
having a very similar conversation, but with lots more smiles on people's faces. At
True.
least for the entrepreneur investors.
Right.
Mile away. Yeah, patience. But there's always good deals out there. You just have to be willing to knock on the doors and meet the people and build the relationship. And your
Absolutely.
neighbors, the neighbors of whatever neighborhood you pick, they know what's going on with their other neighbors. So it's always good to have those conversations and who they hang out with. So
Helping a mailman sometimes can be helpful too, and
The
asking them about the
mailman.
neighborhood. Mhm.
they're not like they used to be, because the housewives are no longer there. They're all all out working. So he doesn't come to your door anymore and drop your mail. So you know he's there or she.
They still drive through the neighborhoods though, so they see what's going on. They see cars in and out. They can tell you if cars sit in the parking spaces all day long, or if they're gone during the day, if they have any activity with people loitering around the neighborhood during the day. So they can be a good source to just get basic information about a community.
They would be.
Yeah, they know what the vacant properties are. I come across that too. I do talk to mailmen in my area. And I had a guy who says, "Oh, I already send my deals to some other guy. But if you pay me more money, then you get the deals." So, he's finding the deals, but not all of them will. But just keep asking. So.
That's great. Oh, so it's in a sense, that's a second neighborhood watch and good for the neighbors.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. Anyone for some feedback for David? Thoughts? Some of you do the same thing he does, so always open to having new ideas and ways to do things. So the sidelines are the people that are just hanging out, not doing anything, sitting on their fingers and waiting. Mm-hmm.
A lot of those right now.
Yes, there are, because they don't actually watch the economy and what's going on or pay attention. I don't know. Somebody asked me, told that I heard him say he got sidelined by the economy. What just happened with the interest rates going up? And I'm like, how could you possibly get sidelined when you're in this business? They talk about it every day. There's somebody on the news talking about the changes that are going on, people getting laid off, what companies are doing. You got to look at the whole picture, not just, what's going on in single family real estate? No, the whole picture.
It's a mindset, people just have focused and listening to certain things, and they believe in that. That's their belief system. And so, certain entrepreneurs, see that and take advantage, just go and take advantage of those situations and find those deals. So,
That's why education is so important, and establishing good connections with people, because we're all here to support each other. And Arthur, who wants to be able to be a good referral partner and a good connector, that's great success. Always connect your people, because it says something about who you are when you are happy to refer someone to someone else. Even if it's not doing anything for your pocket, it certainly is doing something for your reputation, which will do something for your pocket. People like to work with people they know, like, and trust. Like that. So thank you, David. Any other comments, David? Nobody had any feedback for you, I'm sorry to say.
no, that's about it. Just keep focusing and just keep with your goals, and you'll find the deals. I mean, it'll come to you. Just a matter of putting yourself in the context of your goal set, and keep plugging away.
Yep. Anybody else have any thoughts? Deborah, Miss McGee, what are you up to this for 1 year? I know you have several things going on at the same time. Would you like to share anything?
Hi, everyone. Happy New Year. Now, I'm not working on anything in particular because I was a student. I had been, as I had told Peggy, recovering from a knee replacement. So I've been doing a lot of that therapy and I had gone online to take, well, it was a part of the rehab too, to take courses in computers, because I needed to learn the process of, the functioning of it in order to move forward in doing some potential real estate. And so what I was doing initially, I was actually, boots on the ground out there, doing a lot of connections. But that was pulling also a lot of energy. So, I had to work on physicality first, get that up. And so right now I'm just trying to start the new year right, and get reorganized, get rid of the distractions, get rid of and try to set the goals correctly, because, you know, sometimes you think you're doing things the right way and find out, nope, that's not, it's an easier way. So I've been trying to kind of reconnect, you know, listen in on what to do, write down and take some, you know, proper notes on kind of reestablishing. Now I'm a cat mom would be. How I initiated, you know, setting up the business, you know, because, you know, initially I, you know, joined the group and they'll tell you one way and it turns out, no, you should have did it this way. So I've been trying to, you know, stop the spinning wheel process and slow down and focus more on the task and setting and you know, doing things the proper way. But I, you know, the interest still is in real estate, looking for some investment opportunities where, you know, I'm not doing really the heavy lifting, but some that's already established. But I'm learning, you know, about that process and also trading, learning that that niche and how that works, so that, you know, it's not just someone else managing your money, that you actually, you know, managing it yourself some degree. So that's kind of where I'm not hands in right now on any particular properties or anything of that sort, but just organizing and goal setting for this year, because you know it's not a lot of time left. So I want to make sure I, you know, get rid of that procrastination that I was, you know, getting comfortable in.
Well, there is that. Do you mind if I ask you a couple questions or make a comment?
Mhm.
My suggestion is that you get on as many Zooms during the week as you possibly can. Angel's here. She's got a very good group that gets together. I had mentioned a few earlier, and I'd be happy to check in with you to see where you are. Everybody that's ever been in this business has a different way of accomplishing and getting to the same thing. So one person might suggest something that worked for them, and somebody else would give you a suggestion that would be entirely different, and it worked for them. So what you want to do is you want to learn as many different things that other people have done that have made them successful, and find what's going to be, as you said, simplify it for yourself. Education takes a long time. It's not an overnight thing. I've been in this business for 40 years. I could tell you that I'm still learning because the language itself has changed. We didn't use words like waterfall. We didn't ever use an IRR. We always use cap rates because cap rates a more solid number is what I would like. I don't know if that's the right word, but
It's an exit number. IRR is not really necessarily, well, it can be an exit number, but yeah, your cap rate gives you a good exit number.
yeah.
Can you exit?
Yeah, and maybe you don't want to exit and you want that cap rate to keep growing. The IRR, they force you an exit on it. So I always thought long-term, people think 5 years is a long-term, and I've been in the business for 40 years, and I don't think that's long enough to have held a piece of real estate. You think you hold a piece of real estate for 40 years, you don't have a loan on it anymore, you've been able to keep the property in good shape. You might even have some of the same tenants that you had 40 years ago that paid that mortgage off for you and kept the upkeep of the property. I don't know. The newer group doesn't seem to think that way. So I can't answer for them, but your goals, Deborah, you need to know where you want to be. Is looking at the end game, like where do you want to be in 5 years, and then work backwards from there. You want to be invested in so many properties, or what kind of income do you want on all of that? And I know we started that conversation. I'd be happy to finish that conversation with you and help you really hone in on setting up something that you think will work. But I, again, suggest you get on Douglas's meeting. He meets Thursday. Who met yesterday, Angel? If you're still there. Did a few of you went on the meeting yesterday and I did not. I forgot what meeting it was. Arthur, you have some comment? And were you on that meeting yesterday?
I was not on the meeting. I was
Okay.
raising my hand to ask a separate question.
Okay. Does anybody have a comment for, you all been there? Every one of us has been where Deborah is. Do any of you have any suggestions for her?
I put a book in chat private to her, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I think it's an all-around good book. It talks about goal setting in there. It talks about creating or joining a mastermind. Talks to you about mindset, belief, faith. So there's a lot of really good things in there. It's just a really good foundational book.
It is. That it is.
Oh, the Think and Grow Rich one?
Yep, Think and Grow Rich.
Oh yeah, I've read that one. Babylon, I've read I've been
That's a good one too.
I've been a student in the
Good.
reading. Of
Yep,
course, they can
another-
require a reread, but yes.
Another good book for people to read is the Millionaire Next Door. It's a great book. It's what, 40 years old now, probably, or close to. But it stands today like it was written today. Just the numbers are different. You can't buy a car for a brand new Mercedes for $8,000 these days.
Okay, thank you all.
Okay, thank you, Deborah. Arthur, you had a comment or question?
So one question I have, with me, I'm not risk averse, but my lifelong partner, she's very risk averse. So how have people worked that out? Because anything I move toward is always met with sort of analysis paralysis. We don't go make movement on anything, and I end up working on something on my own. What have other people done in those situations?
Education. People are risk adverse because they're not educated in the field. And so I would suggest that she get educated. Like what makes her risk averse, and then find out what it is, what she needs to learn so she understands. If she could sit down and look at a commercial deck, executive plan, and understand it, that would take away some of the adverseness of it, because she could see, okay, this is how much money it's making. These are what the expenses are. This is what it takes to run a property. This is what the income is. This is what the leases look like. Oh, look at, here's a rent roll. Gee, that rent roll tells me how much each person, each tenant put down as their to hold their lease, how long their lease is.
I feel like it's something that, how do I put it? So for example, I'm willing to sit and consider the numbers, go over everything. She would probably do the same. However, she's of the mindset, well, if you put all your money in real estate, you're going to have to fix things. And I'm like, it doesn't work that way. It's not that you have to be the maintenance guy, but it's just some kind of block in anything that has to do with investing that seems risky because it involves some type of work. And I am of the opinion, well, anything's going to involve some type of work. I might as well get paid for it.
Damn well
either
better.
way.
So does she have anything in the stock market?
She does, but she doesn't
If
look
she
at
has-
it herself.
If she has money in the stock market,
she's much more
Arthur,
comfortable being
Arthur.
a passive investor. Go ahead.
that is not a passive investor. If you put your money in the stock market, you just went into the highest risk there is.
Agreed.
You
She
can't get
has money
riskier than the stock
and only
market.
because that's the only option most of the US is familiar with. If they were
But-
familiar with other, they would,
So
everyone would.
Arthur, I'm trying to have
Yeah.
a conversation with you and you're arguing with me. You
Tell me.
have a woman who is in the highest risk investment you could ever be in. So she's not risk adverse. She's ignorant adverse. And as long as she's going to stay ignorant, no, you're laughing, but I am totally serious about this. If she has a dime in the stock market, she has put her money in the wrong place because it's insecure there. If the stock market goes down, she just lost her principal. That won't happen in real estate. Doesn't
No,
matter.
I agree. But if
Right,
your
but we don't
employer only
care what
gives you
you think.
401k,
Arthur,
then, you know, what are
Arthur,
you gonna
we
do?
don't care what you think, Arthur. We don't care. It's not what you think. It's what she thinks. You want to get her out of risk adverse, and yet you're defending her risk adverse.
No, you're misunderstanding me. I'm saying that I am more acceptable. I shouldn't have used that word. I'm much more acceptable of risk. She herself, the word risk is not her issue. The word is more that she has to manage. And that's not something that's to her is risky. Anything that she has to manage is risky.
Well,
So
then she doesn't manage, you manage. That's all. You hire it out. Just tell her, hire it out. Make sure the money's there. That's why you have reserves. Always have your reserves so you could hire it out. She just needs to learn what it is that how it's done. Maybe she should come on some real estate meetings.
yeah, I've had her listen to the Zooms a couple of times to get her ears accustomed to the words and the jargon.
Maybe she's just not interested.
Yeah, that could be that too.
Could be. If she's not out there asking you, what show should I watch so I could learn more?
Yeah, I'm usually the you know that everyone is interested in certain things, and investing happens to be mine. But I really want to make movement for my family as well, and
Sure.
that requires everybody come along with me, whether
That's
they're
what-
kicking and screaming or not.
Yeah, well, kicking and screaming doesn't always work. Yeah, you have a comment, Cliff.
I do. So Arthur, what I'm wondering, because I run into this quite a bit, there are a lot of people out there who stick with what the majority do, because if the majority do it, it must be right, without really
Exactly.
understanding what reality is, which, you know, when people retire, 95% of the people that retire broke. So in order to have what the average person doesn't have and do what the average person doesn't do, you have to do something the average person doesn't do. So,
Exactly.
And that might be where she is. And I kind of like go back to what Peggy said earlier about, you know, just education, helping her understand that, you know, the opportunities that are out there, they can be much safer than the stock market, because I worked in corporate America. I worked for a lot of several Fortune 500 companies, and I will tell you that what they actually report and what they actually do are two different things. They basically their clients are not their customers; they are their stockholders, and the customers are a commodity. That's how they make their money, and that's how they treat them in most cases. So you really have no control. You really don't have the right information with the different companies that you're buying stocks for, and you definitely can't control it. I mean, you're competing against very large hedge funds. Most people don't really understand these basic principles when working with the stock market, and they think that they're going to win. They have this secret recipe that's going to do something that the average person can't do, and it might work for a short time, but it really doesn't work for the long term. In helping people understand that and see that there are opportunities out there that are safer and provide a greater yield than traditional investments is really important. And sometimes that just falls back to education and just helping people understand that and find a comfort level.
Is
Put her on the phone with Cliff.
Sheldon?
yeah. Like you guys keep speaking of these alternative investments, but aren't really naming them. So I was just wondering, is there a name for these things that don't take on as much risk and have higher yields?
We call it real estate.
Yeah,
Okay.
real estate
No.
historically has outperformed the stock market over the
Especially
long haul.
commercial, commercial's
Yeah.
much, yeah, over single family, always commercial.
Okay, so you would suggest starting with commercial versus single family?
It depends, you know, it's, you know, if you're not good with working with other people's money and you want to start with your own and you have a small nest egg built, you know, maybe starting with single family properties, graduating to a duplex, triplex, or quadplex would be a great way to transition. And then from there, moving into something a little bit larger with partners and then eventually raising capital. But if you have a really good sphere of influence that is flush with cash, and they're willing to actually work with you and invest in your opportunities, and you bring someone onto your team, if you don't have the expertise that can act as a sponsor, someone with credibility, experience, a track record, and a net worth that matches or exceeds the property that you're going into, you can raise capital and use other people's money, you know, going into commercial opportunities. So it really just depends. And when you're talking about commercial real estate, there's a lot more than just multifamily. Multifamily is just one asset class. There are many different asset classes for commercial real estate that are out there, and each one, you know, has different benefits and different types of expertise that's needed or required for each of those opportunities. So finding someone on your team that can complement areas where you're not strong is essential.
Or we would say, just come have a conversation with us and we'll show you how to put your money to work where you don't have to learn all of that. And it's called
Perfect.
passive investing.
Perfect, because I was just wondering, because what it sounds like you're describing is like a syndication.
That's
Yeah.
one way, but not the only way.
But
Okay.
you could invest with syndicators and have that money working for you, so you don't have to go, like Deborah wants to figure it all out. Isn't it easier to be working with somebody that's already successful? They don't have to prove because they are successful, and you could be making somewhere between 10 and 30% a year. Wouldn't that be good? And finding those people is not always easy, and you've got to know that they are reputable people. Got to. There's still, unfortunately, people out there. I don't know if they do it deliberately or if they just don't know what they're doing, but they have been known to lose their clients' money. So anyway,
Yeah,
we're happy to have a
I
conversation
definitely
with
don't
you.
want that. Yeah, I would love to continue that conversation, actually. Thank you.
Great. Yeah, please do. And we are now at the top of the hour and somebody's just arriving. Isn't that fun? So we are at the top of the hour. And is there anybody who has one last comment or question they'd like to ask or make a comment on for anybody? Okay, well, I thank you.
Well, I have a quick question. Just to get in contact with anyone, is there a central point? I see a lot of people have different links, and I see a lot of people have different Zooms and podcasts. Is there a central area where everything is kind of located, or is everyone kind of like single stall?
Well, you can
Sheldon,
start
who
with our
invited you
website.
to this meeting?
Kathy did.
Kathy
Kathy
did.
did.
Great. Okay. Good. So have a call me, Peggy Beauregard. Go to
Okay.
our website.
What's the website? Oh, the one that Kathy gave to me.
Yeah, thenestatebuilder.com.
Gotcha. Okay.
And we'll set up, you sign up, we'll get the message and we'll set up a time to chat.
Perfect.
Okay,
All right.
great. Thank you, Sheldon. Any of you who would like to have a conversation, we're happy to have the conversation. All we want to do is have you be successful. That's what counts. Because when you're successful, you will help other people become successful. And the more you make, the more you can do, give back, and launch other people. So thank you everyone for coming. And I hope you have an absolutely great year, reaching every single one of your goals and all the accomplishments with all your projects.